If you don't mind, you might silence your electrical devices for us.
Spence?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. That's right. You saw me do it.
Make sure mine's silenced. Okay. We'll call this meeting to order of the Denison City Council for Monday, August the 19th in beautiful downtown Denison. And I'm going to open this just a little bit unusually tonight. I'd like to invite us in just a moment to stand for a moment of prayer, or silent prayer. We have one of our great police officers lost his life recently with medical issues, and it was Senior Officer Will Deering. He's known to be a great husband, a great father of three, and an outstanding first responder. So if you would, please rise and let's give a moment of silent prayer for Officer Deering. Amen. And I'd like to invite Pastor Jeff Humphrey, Parkside Baptist Church, to give our invocation, please, sir.
Let's pray together. So, Lord, we thank you for our city, Lord, and we thank you for all the leaders that you give us, Lord, the leaders that are here in front of us, Lord, but, Lord, leaders that show up and work hard every day in so many different kinds of ways, Lord. Our city is mourning the loss of somebody that has helped to protect us and keep us safe. And Lord, people have lost we haven't lost just an officer, but some have lost a friend, a very close friend, a dear friend, Lord, in all this. And so, Lord, thank you for your comfort that you give us in moments like this. And again, thank you. I want to thank you for all the leaders that you give us, Lord. Lord, it's amazing to look at all the leaders in this city, each one positioned to help us to be ready for the future, the great future that you have for us. So, Lord, help us all to make the most of our moment, Lord. And we just thank you so much, Lord. Give a lot of wisdom to these men and women in front of me today. And we pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. And for our Pledge of Allegiance, our city clerk, Chris Walentine, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated, and it's my pleasure at this time to invite Pastor Jeff Humphrey, pastor of Parkside Baptist Church, and Kyle Anderson, the chairman of Deacons, and Mr. Gerald Owens, one of the longtime members of that church, and we have a presentation for you, kind sir. Thank you for being here tonight, and we hope to help you celebrate your 75th anniversary for your church. Denison has many great churches, and yours is certainly one of them, and we thank you for being a great part of our community. So I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas Parkside Baptist Church is celebrating a milestone birthday this year. For 75 years, Parkside has faithfully served as a pillar of spiritual guidance, community support, and unwavering faith, offering a beacon of hope, love, and compassion to all who enter its doors. Whereas, through decades of dedicated ministry, Parkside has touched the lives of countless individuals, providing spiritual nourishment, fostering fellowship, and nurturing the faith of its congregation and the wider community. And whereas the leadership, pastors, ministers, and members of Parkside have demonstrated an unyielding commitment to the teachings of Christ, striving to embody the values of love, service, and justice in every aspect of their lives. And whereas Parkside has continually responded to the needs of its community, offering outreach programs, charitable services, and spiritual support that have strengthened the bonds of unity, compassion, and service. And whereas on this momentous occasion we reflect with gratitude the rich history and legacy of Parkside, honoring the faith, dedication, and hard work of all of those who have contributed to its growth and service over the past 75 years. Whereas we look forward with hope and anticipation to the continued ministry and service of Parkside, confident that it will continue to be a source of light, love, and inspiration for generations to come. Now, therefore, I, Robert Crawley, Mayor of the City of Denison, do hereby congratulate Parkside Baptist Church on the occasion of its 75th anniversary, and hereby proclaim the weekend of September 7th and 8th, 2024 as Parkside Baptist Church 75th Birthday Weekend. And extend our heartfelt appreciation for the extraordinary contributions Parkside has made to our community, and commend its ongoing mission to serve God and neighbor with faithfulness and with love. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. I thank y'all so much. I have been here for, oh, come on, let's go. We got to set a picture first. Then the preacher's got to talk, sorry. Thank you so much.
Don't forget, we need to be out by the
I know. I just want to say, I have been a citizen of Denison for the last almost 5 years. And I got to be a part of the 150th birthday celebration. And I've been amazed at the way this city has touched the world, literally. You know, from Mr. Munson to all the different people that have touched the world. We've only been around 75 years. We're halfway there, right? But I want you to know Parkside is the same, that we're Denison. We have touched the lives of people right now in Peru and in other places around the world, and have for many, many, many years. But also try to be a bastion of what it means to live like Christ in the world today here. And so, man, thank y'all for celebrating with us. And you are all invited. We will celebrate our birthday in a big way with a night of worship on September the 7th, Saturday, at the Grayson Arena. At 6 o'clock at the big auditorium there. It'll be a night of worship and a great time. So thank y'all so much for honoring us, all right? Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. Down to item number 3 on our agenda, public comments. Citizens may speak on it.
Introduction of the new Parks and Rec.
I'm getting too advanced. We have an introduction of our new Director of Parks and Recreation, Mr. Atterbury.
But we're not going to let it go that easy. Let me introduce you to council, to Amanda Parsons. Amanda, if you would stand, please. This is Amanda's first day with us as our Director of Parks and Recreation. Amanda comes to us from Texas Parks and Wildlife, so she has a lot of different certifications behind her name. She is a Denison resident, and we're very glad to have her and look forward to working with her in the future. You'll be seeing her at meetings and workshops, and she'll be making her pitch coming forward. So, Amanda, thank you very much. Is there any comments that you have?
It's been a very warm, welcoming first day, so I'm just very excited about moving forward with such an inspiring team. So thank you.
Good, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Amanda.
Welcome, and we like to keep it warm around here, so a warm welcome, so to speak. So, anyway, now we'll move on to public comments. Citizens may speak on items listed on the agenda. A request to speak card should be completed and returned to the city clerk upon arrival prior to the council meeting, reaching the public comment section of the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise required by law. We do have 2 requests to speak cards tonight. First, we have Mr. Blake Vaughn, and his card, and Mr. Ryan Hoffner. Is it Hoffner or Hafner? Hafner. All right, welcome. The agenda item on which you are here to speak about will be heard after the executive session, if that's okay with you. And so we'll have a chance to talk about the item on the executive meeting. So moving now to the consent agenda, item number 4. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mayor, I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion by Councilperson Adams and a second by Councilman Thomas. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we're going to go to a project update. It's item number 6 on my agenda, but it's actually, we're doing 6 before number 5 this time. So, Ms. Alsabaugh, if you would come forward and tell us about our project update, please, ma'am.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Normally, I would have presented at least 1 to 2 budget presentations prior to this one, but this has been a very difficult budget year. Due to rising costs and inflation, we have seen many cities in Texas, not just cities, but school districts, utility districts, struggle to balance their budgets for both the fiscal year 24 and 25. Denison is no exception. And the truth is, if we budgeted adequately for all of our fiscal year 25 needs, we would have a deficit budget. However, our city charter and the state law require that we have a balanced budget. So we've been working very hard to restructure projects, to cut line items, pause internal programs, and locate every dollar that we could find to build a balanced budget. So can we propose a balanced budget for fiscal year 25? Yes, we could, but the accounts would definitely go over budget because we'd be setting an unrealistic goal. Basically, we would just be kicking the can down the road. So to go to our first slide, some of our budget strategies for this year, a few things that we've tried to accomplish to avoid a deficit budget has been to implement a hiring freeze through December of 24, to fund designs for the fire stations, for the new fire station and the West End remodel from TERS funds. Not West End, I'm sorry, Station 1. We've reduced operating budgets in some areas to accomplish goals in other areas. We've halted our vehicle replacement program with Enterprise. We've paused employee incentives such as tuition reimbursements. We have financed capital to retain our cash on hand in order for the need for cash flow. And we are eliminating a position in accounting in order to convert that to a purchasing coordinator that we hope will find some cost savings with bulk purchases and going through purchasing co-ops. We think there's some savings by transitioning that position to a purchasing coordinator. So those are the things that we've tried to do. So this is where we currently stand in our general operating fund. We budgeted to end with 60 days of reserve, and we are projected to be at 54. For fiscal year 25, we are budgeted to end with 57 days if nothing, no unforeseeable events happen. Please note that both 24 and fiscal year 25 days are below our minimum requirement of 60 days. On the utility fund side, we did budget to also end with 60 days of reserve. We're projecting to end at 56, and we're proposed for fiscal year 25 to end at 55 days. So this is also below our minimum requirement of 60 days. So on this slide, you can see some of our larger overages on the general fund side. This list is not all inclusive, but it does show accounts that have gone over and had an impact on our budget. These 8 accounts alone reflect nearly a $1.6 million over budget for this fiscal year. On the utility fund side, overages are listed below on this slide. Again, this list is not all inclusive, and these are 6 accounts that total an overage of a little over $1 million. And you'll notice in the fiscal year 25 column, what we are projecting or proposing to budget. If you compare it to the fiscal year 24 projections, we're still falling short in fiscal year 25 because realistically, your fiscal year 25 numbers should be higher due to inflation. So in addition to expense overages, we are also feeling the effect of a drop in our sales tax, which is our second top revenue source. This is being seen around the state, and it's being attributed to inflation, mostly in the construction industry, which has slowed growth. Economists predict that sales tax collections will continue to slow over the next few months. If you look at fiscal year 24, our projected revenues should have been at least $8.6 million based on our typical 5% annual increase. So that's significantly below where we thought we would be. So how is this affecting our budget? For fiscal year 25, we have not budgeted directly for any capital, but we do plan to finance around $450,000 in general fund needs. Again, financing allows us to retain our cash on hand for cash flows. For personnel, we had 59 requested positions in the general fund and 22 in the utility fund. This is a little higher than normal on these requests, but it's attributed to the anticipated growth that we're about to experience. We're looking to fund only 4 positions, 2 under public safety and 2 under development services. But the need is definitely there for more personnel as we are already seeing some growth. On our operating accounts, our operating budgets, we carefully allocated and reallocated funding, our limited resources, and we were able to fund 50% roughly for both general fund and utility fund. The accounts that did not receive adequate funding will most likely go over budget next year. So some of our needs that are currently not funded in the upcoming budget that are important is, again, sufficiently budgeting in our operating accounts, personnel needs for growth, COLA and market adjustments, building back our days of reserve, additional warning sirens that are needed for the community, increased needs for street repairs, park maintenance, and right-of-way clearings, dollar matches needed for grant opportunities. This is important to me. Grants is under my division. And when we don't have matches to apply for grants, I just see that as lost opportunities for funding. Cemetery repairs and improvements, replacement of aging vehicles and equipment, and water loop pool repairs. So what do we do to get us where we need to be? We need to look at our property tax rate. We have had the same rate for the past 5 years. And on this slide, you will see that our current tax rate is well below our voter approval rate. So based on these calculations, we could raise our rate up to 19 cents without an election. This gives a lot of room for discussions, which we can address at the end of this presentation or on the next agenda item regarding the proposed tax rate. Here you can see the annual effect in green of a 3-cent to a 10-cent increase to homeowners. It could range from an annual increase of $66 to $221. Please note that a penny will bring in about roughly $259,000 in revenue for the city. A penny increase will. And 31.6% of our residents are exempt from this increase due to exemptions that they have in place, whether it be disabled, over 65, and some other exemptions. So here I took the previous slide of the needs that we haven't funded, and I applied a tax increase amount to achieve these needs. Of course, we cannot accommodate all of these, but I think it gives you a general idea of what the cost looks like in order to achieve these. And I can give you a moment to look these over. Some are minimal, some are significant. And then my presentation will conclude with 2 important dates remaining. August the 23rd is our proposed tax rate will be published, which means a decision will need to be made on the next agenda item regarding our proposed tax rate. And on September 3rd, we will hold a public hearing and the adoption of our tax rate and our fiscal year 25 budget. So I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Can you go back to that slide where?
Yes.
That one. So, if I'm gonna understand, if it was 6 cents, it would only cover that, and then if we wanted to do COLA, we'd have to do an additional 3 cents.
Correct. So we know we can't accomplish all of these, but, you know, we just stretch the funds the best we can to try to, you know, accomplish as much as we can with the few dollars that we have.
Can you go back one more slide?
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor, I am the least qualified for Robert's Rules of Order on this particular panel, so would you prefer that we discuss in this line item or the next line item?
I think the next line item would be our discussion line, please.
Yes.
We may need to go back to some of these slides during that discussion. So
Again, no action on this particular
All right.
item. It was just
So
an
we'll show
update.
that the project update has been presented by Ms. Alsaba. And now we'll go to the next item, which is to receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on a resolution calling for a public hearing to consider an increase in tax revenue.
Okay, we're here this evening to determine our proposed tax rate and to approve a resolution to hold a public hearing for an increase in tax revenue. And some of the things that I have to mention during this presentation is dates and times. So just give me a few moments and we can get to the main points that we need to cover. Notice for the public hearing will be posted August 23rd in the newspaper and on our website. The public hearing will be held on September 3rd at the council meeting, which begins at 6 o'clock at 300 West Chestnut. Adoption of the tax rate is also set to be at that same meeting. Our current tax rate is 0.652034 and has been set at this rate for the past 5 years. Each penny over this current rate will generate approximately $259,000 in revenue for the year. And as you saw in the previous presentation, a tax increase is necessary in order to sufficiently support our operations. Our voter approval rate is 0.841975, meaning that we could raise our rate up to this amount without an election. That's a maximum of 18.99 cents. So staff is needing direction from council on the proposed tax rate, and we will also need approval of the resolution to call for the public hearing to approve the rate. And that's all I have.
Discussion from council.
So-
Mr. Massey.
I'd like to go on record as saying I'm a lifelong and staunch conservative, and I prefer very much to have fiscally responsible and efficient government. I also understand as a developer that growth consumes capital. And we are at a particular window of cost between the doldrums of our economy prior to the recognition by the rest of the world that we were an inevitability, and then the people moving up here to make that happen. So we have a lack of funding from a population that pre-exists and a future of need that we have yet the capital to produce. And us not doing anything about it is not going to stop them from coming. It is simply going to make big holes in the ground inefficient. So it took some wrestling in my heart to figure out how I could support the additional costs associated with taxing our citizenry, because I feel like property taxes in Texas are about the most onerous thing about living in Texas. And what I came to is the city of Denison has been an efficient user of the capital and resources that are available to them in my experience in the last 6 or 7 years.
Thank you.
So it is no longer for me a question of whether or not we need the revenue as supported by the voters and the ordinance needs to be called. It is that I don't think the city's position in austerity and minimizing the ask is appropriate for the need we have going forward. And that austerity, specifically things like hiring freezes, tuition reimbursement, which is a turnoff for the talent we're trying to recruit and retain, cost of living, the firehouse, the swimming pool, those sorts of things are landmines that we would be not doing our own due diligence on council to kick down the road to the next person. So I believe 3 cents is insufficient, and I think probably 6 to 9 is more appropriate for what we need going forward. And that's going to catch a lot of heat.
Right.
But I think the right answer is we need more to give you guys the tools for the efficient use of time, talent, treasure you have shown so far to make sure that we can continue growing our city in advance of the revenue that the growth will provide.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Massey. Other comments?
I'm in the same boat. I hate the idea of having to increase taxes. I don't like that. However, I do also believe that our staff and city do really try to run a balanced budget, you know, and making efforts to cut where we can. I don't think we spend excessively. So somehow we have to get the money to do it. And one of the biggest complaints we have is our roads. How are we going to fix our roads? Well, if we don't have any money, we can't fix the roads, right? And so I know that's a hard thing to swallow, a hard pill to swallow, that if we want to accomplish things to make our city better, we have to have money to do it. And so I agree. I think anywhere between 6 and 9 cents is probably what we need to do in order to maintain staff, make improvements, what we need to do. So.
I liken it to the bond campaign that we had to run a year or so ago, where it was time to reinvest in our schools. Well, now it's time to reinvest in the city. And to Michael's point, if it's 8 cents, that's a little less than $15 a month. I would think that is a reasonable ask. I'm just throwing 8 out there as a barometer, but it's time to show the city staff that we're supporting them in that regard.
And one more, just one thing that got me is if we haven't raised taxes in 5 years,
Right.
and this has been the last 5 years we've seen more inflation than we have in decades, and so obviously the costs of the city are going up in the last 5 years, and income is not going up as quickly as the inflation is, and so we have to make hard decisions sometimes to do that.
I think by doing it at this moment, last year when we had the $100,000 homestead exemption happen, many of our citizens were able to receive a substantial break on their property taxes. And by us adding just a few cents to this, they would still be getting a pretty substantial discount compared to what they've been getting in prior years. So if any of time to do it, I think now is a good time. So. And of course, it only affects homesteaded.
Yeah. So I think you showed what percentage would not be affected due to homestead or disability?
31.6.
31, which I believe is close to 2,800 plus
Roughly.
homes in the community.
Can we go back to that slide where it has the cents on the right-hand side, what requires to cover? There we go.
That one,
Right here.
yeah.
So, this gets me. We have to, in order to just get adequate operating budgets, it has to go up 6 cents. If we want to, pay our employees and market rates and keep our employees, that's an additional 3 cents. That's 9 cents already. So whether we raise it 9 cents or not, that's the only things that will be covered if we do it that way.
Right.
So,
This is not a priority order, or it's more of to show what would be necessary to get to baseline on the requests so far.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, but you're right, Michael, so 8 or 9, you're not getting above board.
Yeah, we're not increasing days of reserve, we're
Right.
not adding 2 sirens, we're not funding street repairs. That's just adequate operating budgets and paying staff, if that's where we choose to allocate it.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the adequate operating budgets, for years, we have struggled to fund those accounts. They usually take a back burner to other important needs. You know, we joke up in accounting that duct tape and WD-40 can go a long ways, but in fact, I mean, we're at a point where they need funding just for minor tools, for safety equipment, training, just basic operating costs.
And I think we've been extremely frugal over the
Yes.
past many years.
I've been here
knowing that we're
16
not-
years. Yes.
Knowing that we are not a wealthy community. We had a near catastrophe in Snowmageddon when we nearly lost our water plant, which had been repaired and repaired, Band-Aided, duct taped, as you say, and many other things. We were very fortunate to have an amazing individual who was able to keep our water plant going in a long period of when we did not grow and a long period in which we did not raise taxes. We are in a very unique situation right now, I think. If you're able to see what's going on in South Sherman with the new construction of Texas Instruments and Globotech, you know that growth is here. The hard part is that we don't receive revenues until we actually have structures completed. For housing, that could be several years. If a housing gets started in November, let's say, they get a slab poured. Depending on the efficiency of the builder and the size of the home, it may take a year to build. And then after that, it'll take another year to catch up with the Central Appraisal District to value the house, and then we would get tax revenue. So it's a very unusual thing when a city or a community is caught in the trap of rapid growth. And if we raise the tax rate, does it mean we'll keep that tax rate forever? No. We can always bring it back down. But while we are in a very unique situation for our community, and as elected representatives of our community, I think we must consider, however bad it tastes, I think we must consider raising the tax rate on our community, regretfully. Anyone else have a comment?
Mayor, in answer to Councilman Courtwright's response about, the total here is 21 and a half cents. Obviously, we can't do that. We realize that. What we would do, once you establish a tax rate, we'll go back and prioritize this list. And we may do half of some of these things that are requested, or a quarter of some of those things that are requested. But we will do as well as we can for whatever you give us. Even if that's nothing, we'll still do as well as we can. But if you raise the taxes, then we will come back with a prioritized list for you and show you how that money will be spent. I think that's important to the community.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else have any comments, questions, thoughts?
I'm going to approve the resolution calling a public hearing for an increase in the tax revenue.
And do we need an amount?
Yes.
All right, so is your suggestion 9 cents?
At this point, yes.
Okay. We have a motion to consider a 9-cent tax increase to the current tax rate of .65024.
2034. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that will be .742034. Is what that will total.
Let me pause for a second.
All
I
right.
didn't realize that you had to establish the rate in there, and I did not mean to circumvent the process of discussion, so
Okay.
please don't think I was trying to jump ahead of us here.
We have a motion on the floor. We don't have a second yet. Is there any,
I'll second.
all right, we now have a second from Dr. Courtwright. Now, is there additional discussion? On the rate. I think we all agree that we must do something, but, does anyone,
So I have a question for Julie. So in the public hearing, there is going to be input from the citizenry. If the input from the citizenry comes back and it is motivating to a change in that number, it would be it is changeable during that public hearing or thereafter?
Correct. That is correct.
So this is to start the discussion.
You could not go up, but you could go down.
Understood. In that case, I like the 9-member thing.
all right. Other discussion?
With that being said, we can't go up, but we can go down. Would we want to consider possibly making it 10 cents? I think the reason why, for now, this tax rate, you mentioned that, hey, this doesn't have to stay our tax rate forever. Once we have growth come, and we have the revenue, potentially, we may be able to bring it down, but I would consider probably keeping it the same to make sure we have a number that not only fits our current needs, but would be substantial enough in our future needs. It's been 5 years since we changed it, and hopefully we can ride another 5 or 10 years off whatever rate we decide. But if someone comes and we decide to consider whatever the public discussion has, we have room to bring it down from 10 cents. So I propose 10 cents.
Lori, was it 9 cents that gets you to the voter approval rate?
No, we can
Is that-
actually go up 19 cents.
Oh, 19.
Yes. Yeah, there's a significant gap between our current rate and our voter approval rate.
So if my figures are correct, if a 9-cent increase would cost our average homeowner $17 per month.
Yes.
If we did a 10-cent increase, my figures show an $18 a month. You think that's correct?
I would have to refer to the slide. I'm sorry, I did not memorize all the figures.
$18, $18 to
Yes.
$19.
I see the wisdom in AT's position. We can come down, we can't go up.
Any other comments on that?
My only other thing would be, I would be fine with 10. I think 9's always sounds better than 10.
Of course. 9.5, how about that? 9.99, how about?
Exactly, but.
We can do that.
So I don't know. That's an easier pill to swallow if it's 9 versus 10.
If it triggers robust discussion, it'll make us more comfortable that we've made the right choice for our city,
Yeah.
painful as that's going to be.
Other thoughts or comments?
Are we looking for a new motion then?
You either have to vote on the motion or the council member that made and seconded it both have to agree to withdraw their motion.
Withdraw, could he amend his motion?
Yes, with approval of the secretary.
With approval of,
Yes, the least qualified guy, Robert Fools.
Well, I was gonna do the same thing.
So why don't I do this? I will cancel my motion, and we'll let it be established originally at the number we're going to agree to.
And I approve it.
Approve this message.
All right, and I guess it's on me now. Well, I'll make a motion to raise the tax rate 10 cents. And approve the resolution.
and approve the resolution. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Thomas, a second by Councilman Massey to approve a 10-cent increase in the tax rate of 65 point whatever.
2034.
Any other discussion? If not,
Okay,
all
thank
in-
you.
Is this a roll call? Okay, roll call vote. Ms. Wallenstein?
Just gonna have to yell.
All right, as I call your name, please state yes or no. Mayor Pro Tem Adams,
Yes.
Councilmember Corbett,
Yes.
Councilmember Thorne,
Yeah.
Mayor Crowley,
Yes?
Councilmember Massey,
Yes.
Councilmember Redwine,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, thank you, gentlemen and ladies. The next item on the agenda is our executive session. Pursuant to Chapter 551 Texas Government Code, the council reserves the right to convene an executive session from time to time as deemed necessary during the meeting to receive legal advice from its attorney and on any posted agenda item as permitted by law, or to discuss the following. A, consult with the attorney on a matter in which the attorney's duty to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct conflicts with this chapter, and/or consult with an attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or contemplated settlement of the same. 551.071. Items for the executive committee include to confer with city attorney regarding North Texas Natural Select Materials, LLC versus City of Denison, case number 4:24-CB-00717, United States District Court, Eastern District of Sherman. And 2, confer with city attorney regarding courtyards at Katy Trail Public Improvement District petition. At this time, the time is 6:41, and the council is adjourned into executive session. Waiting on Mr. Massey.
He's coming.
And here he comes. Okay, here we go.
Not on cue.
All right, the time is 7:21, and we will reconvene the meeting for the next discussion item. And we had mentioned earlier that the citizens' public comments, we have cards for Mr. Hafner and Mr. Vaughn. You'll each have 3 minutes to speak, and we will go from there. Okay, whoever wants to go first. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I did plan my speech for 3 minutes, but after watching the budget presentation, I added a few notes which might take me slightly over. So if you would be willing to hear me, it may take about 1 minute longer, if you don't have any concern there. My name is Blake Vaughn. I'm here on behalf of the Courtyards at Katy Trail. It's a 155-home, 55-plus age-targeted community. We're a franchise of Epcon Communities. They built over 30,000 homes in the past 30 years. I'm not a big-time developer. This is my family. This is our first development. I've poured a lot into this, and we want it to be something special because it is our first-time development. I'm not like the guy up building 4,000 houses to the northwest here. He's doing an incredible job, I'm sure. Tonight, I'm requesting formal acceptance of a public improvement district petition. This is filed on July 10th with the city secretary's office, and we're really just asking for the council to consider a public hearing for the September 16th meeting to consider the creation of the PID. So you're just calling to hear from the public, to hear more information. This is a first step in a two-step process. My friend here is gonna go into a little bit more detail about that. But no decisions need to be made tonight, right? It's just about hearing information and receiving a petition. The development aligns perfectly with Denison's comprehensive plan, which outlines the city's vision for growth, infrastructure development, and economic vitality. There's actually a little slide in your comprehensive plan under housing. It says, use incentives and special district policies to catalyze a wide range of housing products, and specifically calls out city infrastructure assistance. Our community will drastically increase the city's tax revenue while ensuring that the associated infrastructure costs are borne by the new homeowners within the PID, only within the PID, and not by any of the existing taxpayers that you're concerned about here tonight. I commend the city staff for the hard work that they've done in finding efficiencies within your budget to steward taxpayer money well. Currently, and I think this aligns with that vision, currently the land is generating less than $200 in annual property taxes to the city. But as we develop this community out, it's projected to increase that revenue to the city by $521,000 annually. If you look on your public hearing document in the agenda, it says if you maintain your tax rate, it will increase taxes by $533,000. So we're talking about, a large portion of money that will help your budget. And the beauty is it doesn't impact any of the citizens currently. The Denison Independent School District will also benefit receiving $930,000 annually from this community, and there's no associated cost because our target buyer is 55 plus. These are empty nesters. They're not going to put a lot of kids into the schools. That's an extra value for them. These are not my numbers, by the way. We hired professional analysts, real estate analysts, to come up with all of these numbers to make sure that we have everything right. In addition to the financial benefits, the courtyards at Katy Trail will feature a 25-acre nature preserve with trails that's maintained by the HOA, no cost to the city for that new park. This thoughtful integration of the natural landscapes and residential living supports Denison's comprehensive plan goals. Over and over it does. I think I pointed that out in an email to all of you. Our amenities include a clubhouse, pickleball courts, swimming pool, to help foster an active adult lifestyle and reduce the burden on city services because the community is HOA maintained exteriors, so you're not going to have a lot of those code compliance issues that you have with some neighborhoods as they age. As many of you are aware, we entered into a professional services agreement with the city in October 2023. It required us to pay $15,000 towards covering the cost of your consultants and all of the city's time. In fact, the PID itself does not cost the city anything. The entirety of its existence, from planning to implementation, there's no cost to the city, and the developer bears the burden of the infrastructure costs. This is a smart way to develop. Mr. Crawley, Ms. Adams, I read quotes from both of you that you're looking for smart development. I have one sentence left. And I'd be happy to, I'd be happy to meet with you. Again, there's no cost to the city. This is only the first step. We're hoping to call a public hearing so you can receive more input on if this is a good idea or not. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry, that's a lot for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Vaughn. And Mr. Hafner. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Ryan Hafner with Winstead PC Developers Council, 2728 North Harwood Street, Suite 500, Dallas, Texas. We're here tonight just to request the acceptance of the PID petition, and again, not acting on the creation of the PID tonight. We did enter into a professional services agreement October 2023. It's been almost a year with no action on that consideration of the PID. And so we filed the petition last month, July 10th, 2024, requesting the creation of the courtyard at Katy Trail PID. We'd request that if the council has any questions in the interim before the creation, that we could meet with the council members or have any sort of meeting jointly with the staff so that we can address any concerns that council or staff may have. But we're excited to partner with the city on this project and continue to move the project forward and gain some momentum. A reminder that this is a two-step process to create. We would call the public hearing, the city secretary would mail and issue notice of the public hearing, and then the council would hold a public hearing to consider the creation of the PID. After the creation, we would be back again before you to consider the levy of the assessments. Again, that's a two-step process that requires a public hearing and notice of the public hearing. And so we'd be back several times to discuss the project through its infancy until completion. And so we'd just like that opportunity to continue the momentum and get that project rolling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, may I yield my time to Mr. Vaughn here, or?
I don't, I've never been, Julie, can someone else pick up his time?
Okay. So, we'd just like to emphasize the financial implications for the city. This is a slide prepared by your PID administrator, P3 Works, that says PID debt is non-recourse to the city. The bonds are backed by assessments on property within the PID. All city costs incurred as a result of creating the PID, staff, legal, consultants, engineers, etc., should be paid by the developer via cash escrow deposit with the city, which we did, which is the professional services agreement that was entered into in October. The issuance of the PID debt by the city does not reduce the city's bonding capacity. The city keeps all of its ad valorem and sales tax revenue. And ongoing administrative requirements are contracted by a third party answering to the city, which is paid by the PID assessments. So again, the annual installment includes the annual collection costs and the administrative costs to administer the PID on an annual basis.
All right. That's
Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate you coming up. So that is the end of the request to speak periods. Is there discussion by council? Is there a motion?
Mayor, I would move to approve the resolution declining the PID petition.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Adams, a second by Councilman Adams to decline
Thomas.
the petition.
Second was by Councilman Thomas.
Sorry, Councilman Thomas. Is there any other discussion? If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry, we can't help you on that, gentlemen. All right, the time now is 7:30.